Live from clickorlando.com, this is News 6 at 5:30. This is a News 6 Plus takeover. Here now is Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells with Talk to Tom.
Hello everyone, I am Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells. This is Talk to Tom. For me, this is like a dream come true. It's something that we started before social media. We were kind of the social media before social media. I would sit on camera, you would call in, the viewer, and ask me questions. I would show you on radar where you were and what was going to happen next. Then it became kind of a thing I would do on Facebook. Just talk to Tom, kind of like this, me, a headphones, camera, and a few graphics. And now it's its very own living and breathing podcast every Thursday right here on the News 6 Takeover at 5:30. So thank you for tuning in to Watch Talk to Tom. Today, we're going to talk about lightning, and we have a question from a viewer, David.
Tom, my name is David. I have a quick question for you. Why is there so much lightning in Florida? Appreciate your response.
Okay, David, we are the lightning capital of North America most of the time, right along the I-4 corridor. The reason we have that title, and we're able to keep it almost every single year, there are some places that claim it. I'll get to that in a moment. But we have more lightning than almost anywhere in North America because we have our colliding sea breezes at work. We have abundant moisture. We have lift to make thunderstorms, and boom, you put abundant moisture, lift to make it form into cloud cover and thunderstorms, and all of a sudden you have the perfect recipe for lightning. We also have a situation here where we keep it for the longest time. We have the mean season of hurricane season, but we also have a very long rainy season that runs for at least 6 months out of the year. You know, most places in North America, you'll get a front coming through every 3 to 5 or 7 days. And that's when you get maybe some rain, maybe some storms, maybe some showers. But in Central Florida, most especially along the I-4 corridor, even more than, say, North Florida around Jacksonville or South Florida around Miami, they have the same amount of moisture that we do, really. But we have the perfect setup with our thin peninsula for the sea breezes to collide and produce more and more lightning. So we have the perfect setup of sea breezes, we have the perfect amount of moisture, and we have a very long season to get those storms going. And our rainy season normally goes from like late May through mid to late October. Sea breezes colliding every single day. So just about every day somewhere we have the lightning. And I always tell people up north or from the Midwest, if you're coming, it's like the voice of God. This is different from any lightning you've ever heard in the Midwest. It rumbles the pane of window in your glass at your house when it shakes. You hear it, boom, everything shakes. It really is active here and really means business. Okay, most of the time, we watch the lightning form and get people to take cover because lightning can be very deadly. But for one local girl, it was not.
Lightning struck 2 people, 1 not breathing.
She was purple. I was scared. My first memory was probably like, I don't know, just laying in my bed and I was like looking up and I was like, where am I? Great to be home. I was just at the hospital and I know that I got struck by lightning, but like I didn't remember anything.
Wow. Lucky to be alive is one of those things we say all the time. Oh, wow, they're lucky to be alive. But in this case, little Lori truly is lucky to be alive. She was on the road to recovery now after her friends were struck way back on June 10th. So what's that, June, July, October, about 5 or 6 months ago. She has now returned home from the hospital. You just saw her there doing well. Her mom, Christina Spencer, joins me now to talk more about that very scary day back in June and what their life has been like since. Hi, Christina. Welcome to Talk to Tom. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, listen, I want to talk about your baby girl. What was going on at the time that all this occurred? Where were they and what was going down?
They were at a neighborhood in Venetian Way. They were inside watching a movie, from what I understand, and I guess they heard a storm or they heard something outside that made the girls go outside. It was, slightly overcast. It wasn't, black and ominous and thundering and lightning. It was just an overcast summer day. And the girls went outside, and my daughter was standing next to or leaning on the tree that actually got struck, and it picked her up and blew her about 15 feet away. It caused cardiac arrest. She had some injuries to her neck and her spine and stuff like that. But the girls were just outside playing. Nothing unusual on a summer day. I would have let my toddler be outside playing in that weather. It wasn't. It Like I said, it was a freak accident.
Okay, so you're telling me at the time they had not heard the rumbles of thunder. They heard something, but not thunder.
Yeah, they because the girl's memory of that day is a little scrambled, I guess you could
imagine.
say.
Right.
Yeah, they just remember hearing something outside and going outside to see what it was. Could it have been a car, a horn, thunder, a friend yelling? It could have been anything. It just made them go outside at just the right time. Unfortunately.
Yeah, the timing could not have been worse. Now, your child grew up here in Central Florida. You guys are from Merritt Island, correct?
Yep.
So it's not like lightning and thunder is new to her. She has heard her whole life, I'm sure. Take cover, get inside. In other words, she's not from Ohio visiting on vacation. She's local. She knows what to do.
Yep. So she does. I mean, we've been on boats and the beach, out in storms. We know when to get inside and take cover and not go outside. She just happened to be standing in the right place at the right time. Unfortunately, there was nothing that could have been done to avoid that accident unless the girls just weren't outside. Mm-hmm. It was scary. I mean, do I definitely think about lightning different? The storm's different. I've been fishing my whole life. My husband and I are out a lot, and we'll sit out there when there's storms going by, but not anymore.
Yeah,
not anymore after what I've seen.
Right, now that you know what you're dealing with. And honestly, she's totally fortunate, in my opinion, to actually be alive and to be functioning. Take us step by step. So the lightning strike hits, people run to her. What happens next?
Yep. So the lightning strike hits. Her friend Kenzie and herself and Lori were the ones that were knocked out or affected. Ava, the third girl, was standing farther away, so it just kind of knocked her down. So she immediately came to, saw her two friends on the ground, gets to them. Kenzie's moving and kind of talking. Lori wasn't. And Lori was starting to turn purple. Got her flipped over. The neighbors instantly, like several 911 calls came in. The neighbors got the 911 operator on the phone, which I have the pleasure of meeting. Nice woman. Awesome lady. She talked on speakerphone to Ava and gave her instructions on what to do. She gave Ava instructions on what to do as far as CPR, putting her head back, opening her airway, making sure that she could do the compressions and the breaths just the way that Lori needed. And it was paramount in Lori's survival, really. When the sheriffs got there, and then the paramedics, the Brevard County Fire Rescue, the sheriffs took over on CPR. The fire rescue people took over on my daughter. Basically, what they explained that happened when it picked her up and hit her, the lightning stopped her heart and started it again at the same time. But the way that it restarted was not sufficient to sustain life. So that's why Lori suffered the brain injury that she suffered was due to lack of oxygen. So the paramedics get there. They go to work on her. She had to be shocked. I don't even know what it's called, but she had to be shocked 3 times to get her heart into rhythm. Mm-hmm. Yep, she had to be paddled 3 times to get her heart into rhythm. They put all the appropriate IVs in places and everything they needed to do. She was rushed to Cape Canaveral Hospital because she needed immediate doctor care. She wouldn't have been able to make it to Arnold Palmer. She needed immediate care. So they took her there where the doctors went to work on her, and her little heart was beating like a racehorse, and she was just unconscious, of course, when we got there. Scary thing to see your child that way, but she was in the best hands. They did the work on her. They got her patched up as best they could to get her on a ride to Arnold Palmer, and that's where we lived for 2 months this summer.
I'm sure. Hey, Christina, we're down to our last 30 seconds. Give us an update. How is she today?
She's excellent. She is recovering wonderfully. Physically, she is almost 100% back to her normal self. She is witty. She is funny. She has a great attitude about everything that happened, and she's resilient as can be. I'm very proud of her. And when you hear storms and you hear lightning, please go inside, keep your children away, keep shoes on your kids. Just protect yourself. It's a scary thing, and most people do not survive lightning strikes. So
They
she is a true
absolutely do
miracle.
not. She truly is. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, we're running out of time. I've got another person I have to
Yeah.
talk to. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
It's
you.
very nice of you and brave of you to come on and talk about your daughter in this personal matter. I can't thank you enough.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Christina. All right, coming up, we're going to take a break, and after the break, we'll talk to another woman who was struck by lightning, this time in Tampa. More on her experience next. Welcome back to Talk to Tom. We've been talking about the dangers of being struck by lightning.
Basically, what they explained that happened when it picked her up and hit her, the lightning stopped her heart and started it again at the same time.
And the lasting impact with a Brevard County mom. Now, we're talking to a woman about the road to recovery after she and her dad were both struck in Tampa.
There was a flash of light and a giant boom, and I saw my dad flying through the air. My ears were ringing. I saw him hit his face on the ground, and then I hit the ground. I thought he was dead, and I thought I was dying.
That was Ashley Moberg explaining what it was like when she and her dad were struck by lightning in Tampa. Ashley Moberg is joining us right now on Talk to Tom live. Hey, Ashley, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Ashley, real quick, take us back to that moment. You guys were at a baseball game, is that right?
Yeah, so we went down to Tampa for a Yankees spring training game, and the weather forecast said it was going to rain, but we had sat out plenty of rainstorms before at baseball games, so we brought our ponchos and thought we were prepared, but it didn't quite go that way.
Okay, were you sitting in the stands when it happened, or had you taken refuge somewhere else?
No, so the game had actually got called as rained out, and we were making our way back to our car in the parking lot, and that's where it happened, the parking lot of the Raymond James Stadium.
Which, for those of you who have not been there, I know a lot of folks have, it's a big place, so you've got to get out of the stadium first and then try to make your way to your car. So it's not like you were doing anything really silly. You were trying to seek shelter, correct?
We were just trying to get back to our car. We had checked the weather, and it said it was still going to be pouring for the next hour. It was a torrential downpour, so we figured might as well make the run back, and we ended up struck by lightning.
Okay, so let's talk about that thunderstorm at the time. You said it was a torrential downpour. Was lightning flashing all around, or was it just pouring rain? And then all of a sudden you got hit?
It was pouring rain. It was actually coming down horizontal because of the wind, but all the lightning that we saw seemed pretty far in the distance, so we thought it was safe to make the trip. And then we had paused briefly in the parking lot near a tree to try to use the remote clicker to find the car, because it was a rental car. We didn't exactly know what it looked like. And then all of a sudden, we were flying through the air and begging someone to call 911.
Wow. Okay, so there were lots of people around who witnessed the lightning strike and saw you go down?
Actually, there was no one directly in our vicinity when it happened, so it was only my dad and I that got struck. And there were cars driving past that we were trying to flag down after it happened, but everyone was just trying to get out of the rain. Luckily, somebody walking to their car as well had passed us, and we stopped him to call 911. And he said that he had seen the lightning strike, that plenty of people saw it, but nobody knew that someone was injured.
Oh, wow. Okay, well then let's talk about what you felt. We have great shots of you and your dad together. Great looking daughter-dad thing. And there's a nasty shot of your neck. It looks like you got burned up. Tell us about what you felt at the moment, and then we'll get to what you're feeling like now. When you first got hit, obviously you were disoriented. What were you physically feeling?
So I had seen the flash and heard the thunder, and then I saw my dad flying through the air. I was flying through the air, but I didn't really feel any pain or anything physically. I heard my ears were ringing, and I had smelled like an electrical burning smell almost. And then we landed on the ground, and the first thing I noticed was I couldn't move, and then I thought my dad had died until he finally regained consciousness and called out for me. I knew immediately that we were struck by lightning, but since my dad was knocked unconscious, he didn't. He thought he had a stroke. So it was just kind of getting our bearings and making sure each other was okay, and then trying to get help.
So you recovered pretty quickly. You got up and walked, like within the moment or 30 seconds or 20 seconds of being struck, you were able to be mobile? You could physically move?
No, so my dad was completely paralyzed when it happened, and half of my body was paralyzed. So I realized I couldn't get up right away. So I kind of was able to push myself up on one side and scoot over closer to my dad and get him rolled over because his face was in the mud. So I wanted to make sure he could breathe. And then it took about 30 minutes after we got to the hospital where we regained feeling in our limbs and were able to get up and start walking.
Okay, how long did you spend in the hospital?
We spent 2 days there. They wanted to keep us even longer because they said lightning strikes have residual effects. So not everything happens right away. You can, get more symptoms as time goes on. But we had a flight to catch to get back home to Chicago. So we were really pushing them to let us out. And we were feeling okay at the time. So we just wanted to get home.
Okay, well, first I want to talk about your injuries to your neck. That looks really nasty to me. It's all black and burned up. You had on some sort of necklace that obviously lit up and heated?
Yes, so I had plenty of jewelry on. My necklace, though, was silver, so that's a lot more conductive than most of my jewelry was, and it burned right off of my neck. I actually have a scar, I don't know if you can see it, still circling my neck. I didn't even notice it at first until one of the paramedics asked me. They said, "Hey, were you wearing a necklace?" And I went to go feel it and realized it was gone and that it had burned through my skin.
Do you have any residual effects still ongoing all these months later?
No, luckily we got away with very little injury and residual effects. For a short time after it happened, I did have ringing in my ears still, and I would get tingling in the limbs that were paralyzed occasionally. But other than a lack of energy, we're doing great, and we are very lucky to be able to say that.
Well, yeah, let's talk about your dad real quick. He's not with you today, obviously. And by not with you, I don't mean he's passed away. I mean, he's just not in the room. He came through this just great, too, apparently. He is, you said 70 or 75?
Yes, he's 75.
Okay, so that's a big difference. Obviously, you're 20 years old. You're young, strong. But for a 75-year-old guy to be struck, and I'm not an ageist by any stretch of the imagination, but it's obviously a big difference there. He came through it almost as well as you did?
Yes, so he actually went back to work about 2 days after we got home. And he still had bruising on his eye. He broke his cheekbone, so that had to heal. And they said they could do surgery to fix it. His eye shifted downward, but it was too risky. He didn't want to proceed with that surgery, so that's the only thing he still has left over. And he bounced back almost as quickly as I did. He, again, lack of energy, but he says he's aged 10 years since it happened. But he's been through a lot of near-death experiences in his lifetime, more than his share, and he bounces back every time.
Well, tell that cat he's running out of lives and to be careful. Stay out of the thunderstorms. Hey, listen, we really appreciate you coming on and talking to us, Ashley. Thank you so much, and God bless you. I'm glad you survived. You're doing great. One last little thing. If you have one last thing to say to everybody and warn them so this doesn't happen to them, what's that one thing you want to say?
Check the weather before you go out, and don't follow your dad when he says he knows where the car is.
All right. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you. Have a good.
You too. Remember, if you have a question you'd like to have answered, just go to clickorlando.com/talk-to-Tom. And of course, you can watch Talk to Tom anytime on News 6 Plus. And while you're there, make sure to check out Florida's Fourth Estate, as Matt and Ginger talk about everything from gators to Florida's nude tourism industry.
If you've ever walked down on the beach barefoot, then you know that the feeling of being barefoot, well, this is just barefoot all over, and that's why it's so fun to do.
Riff on This, where we explore the people behind Central Florida's growing music scene with Samara Kokinos.
I love my mom. She's the best person that anybody could meet. She's a pure angel. She's a wonderful, wonderful mom, and I tell her that all the time. That she's the best kind of mom any person could ask for.
And Florida Foodie, with Candace Campos and Lisa Bell, who explore the best places to eat, all free on News 6 Plus.